The shuttle dropped him in the middle of nowhere and left before he could change his mind. Ryan Webb stood in a clearing surrounded by trees that looked wrong. Too tall, too dark. The bark had a purple shimmer that reminded him of oil slicks. This wasn't Earth. This was Kagara Prime, a testing ground used by the Galactic Academy to see if humans could handle real danger. He checked his gear. One knife, one canteen, one emergency beacon that only worked if he was dying. The Academy instructors had been clear about the rules. Survive 7 days in the wilderness, avoid the predators, make it to the extraction point on the other side of the forest. Simple on paper, deadly in practice. Ryan started walking. The forest floor crunched under his boots, covered in something that looked like leaves but felt like scales. Every sound made him turn his head. Every shadow could be something hunting him. The Academy had shown him videos of Kagara's wildlife, razorbacks that could gut a person in seconds, spine cats that hunted in packs, shadow drakes that moved so fast you only saw them when it was too late. 3 humans had taken this test before him. One made it through. One quit and hit the beacon on day 2. One never made it out at all. He found a stream after an hour of walking and refilled his canteen. The water tasted metallic, but the scanner on his gear said it was safe. He was about to keep moving when he heard something behind him, something big. Ryan turned slowly. 30 meters away, standing between 2 massive trees, was a razorback. It looked like someone had crossed a bear with a wolf and added armor plating. Its shoulders were covered in bone-like ridges. Its teeth were longer than Ryan's fingers, and it was staring right at him. The Academy training kicked in. Don't run, don't make sudden moves, predators chase what runs. Ryan backed away slowly, keeping his eyes on the creature. His hand moved to his knife, but he knew it was useless. That thing would tear him apart before he could land a hit. The razorback took a step forward, then another. It lowered its head and made a sound like grinding stone. Ryan's heart was hammering so hard he could hear it in his ears. This was it, day 1, and he was already dead. But the razorback didn't charge. It stopped 5 meters away and sat down, just sat there like a dog waiting for something. Its eyes were intelligent, almost curious. It tilted its head and made that grinding sound again, softer this time. Ryan didn't move, couldn't move. His brain was trying to process what was happening. Predators didn't sit. They didn't wait. They killed or they left. This thing was doing neither. Minutes passed. The razorback yawned, showing teeth that could bite through steel. Then it stood up, turned around, and walked away, just like that. It disappeared into the trees without looking back. Ryan stood by the stream for 10 minutes before his legs stopped shaking. What just happened? The creature had him dead to rights. It could have attacked, should have attacked. Instead, it sat down and left. He forced himself to keep moving. The forest grew darker as the sun dropped lower. He needed shelter before night came. The Academy warned that night on Kagara was when the real hunters came out. He found a rocky outcrop with an overhang that would keep him protected from above. He gathered branches and built a basic barrier at the entrance. It wouldn't stop anything serious, but it might slow something down. As darkness fell, the forest came alive with sounds. Howls in the distance, wings flapping overhead, something large moving through the brush. Ryan sat with his back against the rock, knife in hand, trying to stay awake. Every sound made his muscles tense. Then he saw eyes, glowing yellow eyes watching him from the darkness beyond his shelter, then more eyes and more. He counted 6 pairs total, spine cats, the pack hunters. They had found him. Ryan got to his feet slowly. The spine cats moved closer, staying just outside the firelight he didn't have. He should have made a fire, stupid mistake. Now he was trapped with a pack of predators circling him in the dark. The largest one stepped into the faint moonlight. It was sleek and muscular, covered in dark fur with those distinctive spines running down its back. It opened its mouth and hissed, showing fangs designed for tearing flesh. The others moved closer, forming a half circle around his shelter. This was it. Ryan gripped his knife and prepared to fight. He wouldn't win, but he wouldn't die without trying. His hand moved toward the emergency beacon. Maybe living with shame was better than not living at all. But then something strange happened. The razorback from earlier crashed through the trees behind the spine cats. It roared, a sound that shook Ryan's chest. The spine cats scattered immediately, vanishing into the darkness. The razorback stood there, breathing hard, staring at the spot where the cats had been. Then it turned and looked at Ryan. Those intelligent eyes again. It huffed once like it was satisfied and walked away into the forest. Gone again. Ryan slid down the rock wall and sat on the ground. His hands were shaking. His mind was racing. The razorback had saved him, protected him. That wasn't supposed to happen. Predators didn't protect prey. They competed with each other, sure, but they didn't defend humans. Unless the test was different than everyone thought. Unless something else was going on here. Ryan looked out at the dark forest and wondered what the Academy had really sent him into. This wasn't just a survival test anymore. This was something stranger, something the instructors hadn't prepared him for. He stayed awake all night watching the shadows. The spine cats didn't come back, nothing else approached his shelter. And somewhere in the darkness, he knew the razorback was still out there, watching, protecting, for reasons he couldn't begin to understand. Morning light filtered through the purple trees, and Ryan finally allowed himself to relax. He had survived the night. Barely. He packed his minimal gear and started moving again, keeping to the general direction the Academy had indicated. The extraction point was still 6 days away. As he walked, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being followed. Not by something hunting him, more like something keeping pace with him. He caught glimpses of movement in the trees, a shadow too large to be a bird, the sound of heavy footsteps that stopped when he stopped. Around midday, he found a clearing with strange fruit hanging from low branches. His scanner said they were edible, high in nutrients. He picked several and was about to bite into one when the razorback appeared at the edge of the clearing. Ryan froze with the fruit halfway to his mouth. The creature walked forward slowly. It didn't seem aggressive. When it got close, it made that grinding sound again and used its massive head to push Ryan's hand away from his mouth. The fruit fell to the ground. The razorback stepped on it and the fruit split open, releasing a cloud of yellow gas. Ryan stumbled backward, covering his face. The gas dissipated quickly, but Ryan understood. Those fruits were poisonous. His scanner was wrong, or the fruits looked similar to safe ones. Either way. The razorback had just saved his life again. Ryan stared at the creature. "You're helping me? Why?" The razorback couldn't answer, obviously. It turned and walked to a different tree, using its claws to scratch the bark. Sap oozed out, thick and clear. The creature licked some of it and then looked at Ryan. An invitation. Ryan approached carefully and touched the sap. It was sticky but had a sweet smell. He tasted a tiny amount, safe, actually better than safe. It had an energy to it that made him feel more alert. He collected as much as he could in his canteen. "Thank you," he said quietly. The razorback made a huffing sound that might have been satisfaction. Then it laid down in the clearing, eyes half closed, resting. Ryan realized this might be his only chance to really look at the creature. Up close, he could see scars on its armor plating, old wounds. This animal was a survivor. It had fought and won many times. But there was something else. Around its neck, barely visible under the fur, was a mark, not natural. It looked like a brand or a tag. Ryan moved closer and the razorback's eyes opened fully, but it didn't move. Didn't threaten. It let him look. The mark was definitely artificial. Some kind of symbol he didn't recognize. The Academy had never mentioned that Kagara's wildlife was tagged. Why would they be? Unless this wasn't just a wilderness test. Unless someone was watching more than just the humans. Ryan sat down across from the razorback. "Someone put that mark on you. Someone is tracking what happens here." The creature closed its eyes again. Whether it understood or not, Ryan couldn't tell. But he was starting to think this whole test was more complicated than survival. He rested for an hour before moving on. The razorback stood when he did and followed at a distance. Not threatening, just present, like a guard or a companion. Ryan didn't try to send it away. Honestly, he was grateful for the protection. The afternoon brought new challenges. Ryan had to cross a ravine with a river rushing below. There was a fallen log that served as a bridge, but it was narrow and slick with moss. He started across carefully, testing each step. Halfway over, he heard the sound. the distinctive whistle hiss that meant spine cats. 3 of them emerged from the other side of the ravine. The same pack from last night or part of it. They spread out, blocking his path forward. Ryan was trapped on the log with nowhere to go. Behind him, the razorback appeared at the edge of the ravine. It couldn't cross the log, too heavy, the wood would break. The lead spine cat advanced slowly, its spines rattling. A threat display. Ryan gripped his knife, but he knew how this would end. The cat would lunge, he would fall, and the river would finish what the predators started. Then something unexpected happened. The razorback roared, that chest-shaking sound that carried across the ravine. The spine cats paused. The razorback roared again and slammed its claws against the ground. It was challenging them, protecting Ryan even though it couldn't physically reach him. But the spine cats didn't retreat this time. They had numbers, they had position. The lead cat crouched ready to spring. Ryan braced himself. This was it. A shadow dropped from the trees above. It landed between Ryan and the spine cats with a sound like thunder. A shadow drake, larger than the cats, with scales that seemed to absorb light and wings that spread wide enough to cast the log in darkness. The most dangerous predator on Kagara Prime. The spine cats scattered immediately. They wanted no part of a drake. The shadow drake watched them go and then turned to look at Ryan. Its eyes were silver and intelligent. It studied him for a long moment. Then it did something that made no sense. It moved aside and gestured with its wing toward the other side of the ravine, an invitation to pass. Ryan didn't hesitate. He moved quickly across the log while the drake held position. When he reached solid ground, he turned to look back. The drake spread its wings and launched into the air with a powerful downstroke. It circled once above him and then flew off into the forest. Gone. The razorback crossed the ravine by going downstream and finding shallower water. When it rejoined Ryan, it seemed agitated. It kept looking at the sky where the drake had disappeared. Making low, worried sounds, Ryan understood. Even the razorback was wary of the drakes, but that drake had helped him, just like the razorback, just like nothing in the Academy's videos had suggested was possible. Ryan pressed on. The sun was getting lower and he needed another shelter for the night. But now he had questions that kept growing. Why were the predators helping him? What was that mark on the razorback's neck? Who was really running this test? And what were they testing for? That night he found a cave to shelter in. The razorback settled near the entrance, clearly intending to stand guard again. Ryan started a small fire with friction and dried moss. In the flickering light, he thought about the 3 humans who had taken this test before him. One succeeded, one quit, one died. But what if they hadn't all faced the same test? What if the predators chose who to help and who to hunt? The Academy said this was about survival skills, about proving humans could handle hostile environments. But Ryan was starting to suspect the real test was something else entirely. Something about connection, about trust, about whether humans could recognize help when it came from unexpected sources. He looked at the razorback keeping watch at the cave entrance. Its eyes reflected the firelight. "You're not supposed to help me," Ryan said softly, "but you are. Why?" The razorback didn't answer. But somewhere in the dark forest, other predators were watching. Other tests were happening. And Ryan was beginning to understand that surviving meant more than just staying alive. It meant understanding what this world was really trying to teach him. Day 3 started with rain, heavy drops that soaked through Ryan's jacket and made the forest floor treacherous. The razorback led him to a cluster of massive trees with roots that formed natural shelters. They waited out the worst of the storm together. Ryan noticed the creature staying close, sharing body heat without being threatening, almost protective. When the rain lessened, they moved on. Ryan's path took him through a section of forest where the trees grew so close together that sunlight barely penetrated. The air felt different here, heavier, like the forest itself was holding its breath. The razorback's behavior changed. It stayed closer, more alert, making low warning sounds. Then Ryan saw them. Bones scattered across the forest floor. Large bones, some looked humanoid but bigger. Others were clearly from Kagara's wildlife. This was a killing ground, something apex lived here, something that even the razorback feared. A sound echoed through the trees, low and resonant, like a horn made of stone. The razorback froze, every muscle tense. Ryan felt his survival instincts screaming at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. The bones proved that running didn't work. It emerged from between the trees like a living mountain, twice the size of the razorback, with 6 legs and a head crowned with curved horns. Its hide was thick and armored, covered in plates that overlapped like roof tiles. A titan beast. The Academy had mentioned them only once. Avoid at all costs. Highly territorial, extremely aggressive. The creature saw Ryan and bellowed. The sound physically hurt. The razorback positioned itself between Ryan and the titan, lowering its head in a defensive stance. It was going to fight. A fight it absolutely could not win. Ryan's hand moved to the emergency beacon. If he activated it now, a shuttle would come. But it would take 10 minutes. The razorback would be dead in 2. The titan charged. The ground shook with each step. The razorback braced itself. Ryan made a decision that was probably insane. He stepped out from behind his protector and screamed at the titan, waved his arms, made himself a target. The titan's attention shifted. It changed direction slightly, now aimed at both of them. That's when the shadow drake dropped from above. It hit the titan's back with its full weight, claws digging into the armored hide. The titan roared and thrashed, trying to dislodge the drake. More shapes appeared from the trees, 3 spined cats moving in coordination. They didn't attack Ryan or the razorback. They went for the titan's legs, darting in and out, creating chaos. Ryan understood in that moment. They were working together. The predators were coordinating to protect him. This wasn't random. This was planned. The titan was dangerous to all of them, and somehow they had decided the human was worth saving. The fight was brutal but brief. The combined assault was too much for even a titan beast. It retreated, bellowing in anger, crashing back through the trees. The spined cats melted into the shadows. The shadow drake released its grip and landed near Ryan. It was breathing hard, scales scratched and bleeding in places. The razorback approached the drake. They touched heads briefly, a gesture of respect or gratitude. Then the drake turned to Ryan. It leaned down, bringing its massive head close. Ryan stood very still. The drake's silver eyes studied him intensely. Then it made a sound, not aggressive, almost gentle, like a cat's purr but deeper. It was acknowledging him. The drake spread its wings and took off. The razorback watched it go and then turned back to Ryan. The creature's eyes held something new, not just protection, trust. They had fought together, survived together. The bond had deepened beyond simple guard duty. Ryan moved on with shaking legs. The razorback stayed close, occasionally making that grinding sound that Ryan was starting to recognize as communication. Not words, but meaning. Stay close. Danger past. Keep moving. After hours of walking, they reached a ridge with a view of the valley below. Ryan could see the extraction point in the distance. 3 more days of travel. He would make it. He knew that now. But he also knew he couldn't leave without understanding what was happening. He turned to the razorback. Someone is controlling this. Someone marked you. Someone is making sure I survive. Why? What's the real test? The razorback tilted its head. Then it did something that shocked Ryan. It used its claw to draw in the dirt, crude marks but deliberate. A circle, then a line through it. Then it looked at Ryan expectantly. It was trying to communicate, trying to show him something. Ryan knelt down and studied the marks. A circle with a line, like the symbol around the razorback's neck, but simpler. This is important, Ryan said. This symbol means something. He pointed at the mark on the creature's neck. You were given that. Someone put that on you. Who? The razorback couldn't answer with words, but it turned and started walking in a different direction, away from the extraction point. It looked back at Ryan, an invitation, a request. Follow me and I'll show you. Ryan knew he should stick to the route. 3 more days and he would be done. He would pass the test, go back to the academy. But this wasn't about passing anymore. This was about understanding, about learning what this world was really trying to tell him, about discovering why predators that should hunt him were instead protecting him. Ryan adjusted his pack and followed the razorback into unknown territory. The test could wait. Truth was more important than success. They walked for hours, moving deeper into the forest than Ryan's map showed. The trees here were ancient and massive. The air felt charged with something Ryan couldn't name. Magic maybe, though he didn't believe in magic. Or maybe just life concentrated so densely it became almost visible. Finally, they reached a clearing. In the center stood a structure, not natural, built by intelligent hands. Stone pillars arranged in a circle with carvings covering every surface. The same symbol the Razorback had drawn, the circle with a line, repeated hundreds of times, and around the base of each pillar were marks. The same marks that were around the Razorback's neck. Tags, identifiers. Ryan approached slowly. This was old, ancient. The Academy never mentioned ruins on Kagara Prime, never mentioned previous civilizations. They said the planet was pristine wilderness. They lied. Someone had been here before, someone who marked the predators, someone who built this place. And somehow the test was connected to all of it. The Razorback sat at the edge of the clearing and watched. Waiting. This was what it wanted to show him. This was the answer to his questions, or at least the beginning of one. Ryan touched one of the pillars. The stone was warm, humming with energy, alive in some way. He closed his eyes and felt something. A presence, old and patient and watching. "You're testing something," Ryan said to the empty air. "Not just survival, something about connection, about whether humans can recognize allies in unexpected forms, about whether we can trust what we don't understand." No answer came, but the humming in the stone grew slightly stronger, like confirmation. Like, yes, you're beginning to understand. Ryan opened his eyes. The sun was setting. He had been here longer than he thought. The Razorback stood and moved toward the trees. Time to go, time to find shelter. But tomorrow, Ryan would have decisions to make. Return to the extraction point and finish the test as planned, or dig deeper. Learn more. Find out who built this place and why the predators obeyed its ancient commands. That night, sheltered in another cave with the Razorback on guard, Ryan stared at the fire and thought about the three humans before him. One succeeded. Maybe they never found the ruins. One quit. Maybe they were afraid of the truth. One died. Maybe they rejected the help and fought alone. The test wasn't measuring strength. It was measuring wisdom, the ability to accept help, the willingness to trust the impossible. Ryan made his choice. Tomorrow he would go back to the ruins, learn everything he could. Then he would go to the extraction point, pass the test, and then he would demand answers from the Academy, because something bigger was happening on Kagara Prime, something that changed everything he thought he knew about humans and predators and the nature of survival itself. Ryan returned to the ruins at dawn. The Razorback followed without being asked. In the morning light, the stone pillars looked different, less mysterious, more purposeful. This wasn't a temple or monument. It was a marker, a boundary, a declaration that said something important happened here. He walked between the pillars, examining the carvings more carefully. They told a story in images, beings that weren't quite human arriving on a planet, meeting creatures, fighting at first, then understanding, then cooperating. The final image showed both beings and creatures standing together, the circle symbol prominent above them all. Unity through understanding. "Who were they?" Ryan asked the Razorback. "Who built this?" The creature made no sound. It simply walked to the far side of the clearing where Ryan hadn't explored yet. There, partially hidden by vines, was a smaller structure, a box made of the same warm stone. The Razorback pushed it with its head, an offering, an invitation to open it. Ryan cleared away the vines. The box had no lock, just a smooth surface with the circle symbol. He pressed his hand against it and felt that humming energy again. The box opened. Inside was a device, crystalline and metallic at the same time, still active after who knew how many years. And beside it, a journal, paper that should have rotted away but was somehow preserved, human writing. Ryan's hands shook as he picked up the journal. The first page had a name. Dr. Sarah Cross, xenobiologist. The date was 40 years old. He flipped through pages filled with observations, sketches, theories. Then he found the entry that explained everything. Day 40 of observation. I've confirmed my theory. The predators of Kagara Prime are not ordinary animals. They possess a collective intelligence, not individual consciousness like humans, but a shared awareness that spans the entire ecosystem. They were engineered, modified by a precursor species that left only these ruins behind. The modifications serve one purpose: to test newcomers, to determine if a species is worthy of contact. Ryan read faster. The test is elegant. When beings arrive, the predators observe. If the newcomers show aggression, compete, refuse cooperation, the predators eliminate them. But if the newcomers show wisdom, acceptance, willingness to trust despite fear, the predators protect them, guide them. The circle symbol represents unity. The line through it represents the barrier that must be crossed: fear, prejudice, the assumption that different means dangerous. More pages. I've been living among them for months. The razorbacks, spine cats, shadow drakes. They work together when necessary. They recognize that I mean no harm. The Academy must never weaponize this planet, must never see these creatures as tools. They are guardians, judges. The ancient species that created them left this system in place to filter out violent civilizations. Only those who can cooperate may pass beyond. The final entry. I'm leaving a record here for whoever comes next. The Academy thinks I died. I let them believe it. They wanted to study the predators, dissect them, use them. I couldn't allow that. I'm staying here, living with the Guardians, learning from them. If you're reading this, you passed the test. You trusted when you should have feared. You cooperated when you should have fought. Take this device. It's a beacon to the precursor network. Activate it only if you believe humanity is ready for what comes next. If you believe we can handle the truth. Ryan set down the journal. His mind was racing. The test wasn't from the Academy. The Academy didn't even know what they were really sending people into. They thought this was wilderness survival, but it was first contact. A test designed by an ancient civilization to find species capable of joining something larger. And every predator on this planet was part of that test, including his friend the razorback. He looked at the creature. You're not just protecting me, you're evaluating me, evaluating all humans through me. The razorback's intelligent eyes confirmed it. This was bigger than Ryan, bigger than the Academy. This was about whether humanity deserved to know they weren't alone in the universe. Ryan picked up the device. It was warm in his hand, pulsing gently. Waiting, one activation and everything would change. But was humanity ready? Were they wise enough, peaceful enough? He thought about the wars back home. The conflicts, the fear of the different. Then he thought about himself, terrified in the forest, accepting help from creatures that could have killed him, learning to trust the impossible. He thought about Dr. Cross, living here for 40 years, keeping the secret, protecting both humanity and the Guardians, a heavy burden. Ryan could leave the device here, finish his test, go back to the Academy, tell them he survived, never mention the ruins or the truth. Life would continue as normal. Humanity would remain ignorant but safe. Or he could activate it, bring whatever came next, risk everything on the belief that humans could handle the truth, that they could be better than their fears. The razorback watched him, not judging, just waiting. The choice was his alone. That was part of the test too. Individual decision without pressure, true free will. Ryan made his choice, but not the one he expected to make. He carefully placed the device back in the box. Not yet, he said. Humanity isn't ready. I'm not ready to make that decision for my entire species, but I won't let the Academy turn this into a hunting ground either. He picked up Dr. Cross's journal. This he would keep: evidence, proof, ammunition to protect Kagara Prime. The razorback made that grinding sound, approval or maybe relief. Ryan sealed the box and covered it with vines again. I'm going to the extraction point. I'm going to pass their test. Then I'm going to make sure no one ever weaponizes you or this place. That's my promise. They left the ruins behind. For 2 more days, Ryan and the razorback traveled together. The predators continued to protect him. The spine cats kept watch at night. The shadow drake circled overhead during the day. They were ensuring he made it, guaranteeing his success. Not because they wanted him to pass the Academy's test, because he had passed theirs. On the morning of day 7, Ryan reached the extraction point, a cleared area with landing markers, right on schedule. The razorback stopped at the tree line. It wouldn't go further. This was where they separated. Ryan turned to face the creature that had saved his life multiple times. Thank you, he said, for everything. For teaching me that trust matters more than fear, that cooperation beats competition, that intelligence comes in forms I never expected. He placed his hand on the razorback's armored head. The creature leaned into the touch. A goodbye, a bond acknowledged. Then it turned and disappeared into the forest. The spine cats emerged briefly from the shadows. A farewell from them too. The shadow, Drake, circled once overhead, its silver eyes catching the sunlight. Then it was gone. Ryan stood alone in the clearing as the extraction shuttle descended. The test was over. He had survived, but more than that, he had learned. And learning was the whole point. The shuttle door opened and instructors emerged, scanning him, checking for injuries, asking questions. Ryan answered mechanically. Yes, he survived. Yes, he avoided the predators. No, he didn't need medical attention. All lies, but necessary lies. Until he figured out how to protect Kagara Prime, he would keep its secrets. They flew away from the planet. Ryan watched through the window as the purple forest disappeared below. Somewhere down there, the Guardians continued their watch, continued their test, waiting for the day when humanity would be ready, when someone would activate that device, when the barrier would finally be crossed, but not today, not yet. Ryan had bought his species time to grow, time to become worthy, and he would use that time wisely. The Academy debriefing took 3 hours. Ryan sat in a sterile white room answering questions from instructors he didn't know. They seemed disappointed that his story was boring. 7 days of hiding, moving carefully, avoiding predators, finding food and water. Nothing exciting, nothing useful for training future candidates. "You're the second person to successfully complete Kagara Prime," Instructor Hammond said. She was tall with gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. "The first was 10 years ago. Can you explain how you survived when so many others failed?" Ryan kept his expression neutral. "I followed the training, stayed alert, didn't take unnecessary risks, got lucky a few times." All true, just not the whole truth. Hammond watched him for a long moment. She didn't believe him, but she had no proof he was lying. "We're developing a new program," she continued. "Advanced wilderness survival. We want to send teams to Kagara Prime, hunt the predators, prove humans can dominate even the most dangerous environments. Your success proves it's possible." Ryan's blood went cold. This was exactly what Dr. Cross had feared, what he had promised to prevent. "I don't think that's a good idea," Ryan said carefully. "The predators there are extremely dangerous. I survived by avoiding them. Hunting them would be suicide." Hammond smiled. It wasn't friendly. "That's why it would be such good training. Push humans to their absolute limits. The ones who survive would be the best of the best." "And the ones who don't survive?" Ryan asked. "Acceptable losses," Hammond replied. "We need warriors. Kagara Prime can forge them, your proof of concept, if irregular. Human can survive 7 days. Imagine what trained soldiers could accomplish." She stood up. "You'll receive your certification tomorrow, top of your class. Congratulations." After she left, Ryan sat alone in the room. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from anger. The Academy saw Kagara Prime as a resource, a training ground. They would send teams, study the predators, eventually capture them or kill them, and the ancient test would be destroyed. The Guardians would be gone, all because humans couldn't see past their own arrogance. He had to stop it. But how? He was one person, a new graduate with no authority, no connections, nothing but a journal written by a dead xenobiologist that no one would believe, unless he found someone who would listen, someone who understood that some places should remain sacred. Ryan spent the next week searching. He used the Academy's database to research Dr. Sarah Cross, found old records, published papers, colleagues. Most were retired or dead, but one name appeared multiple times. Dr. Alan Foster, currently teaching at the Xenobiology Institute. He had worked with Cross before she disappeared. If anyone would believe Ryan's story, it would be him. The institute was 3 days' travel from the Academy. Ryan used his graduation bonus to book transport. Dr. Foster's office was small and cluttered with specimens and books. The man himself was elderly, with kind eyes behind thick glasses. He looked up when Ryan knocked. "Can I help you?" "I need to talk to you about Dr. Sarah Cross," Ryan said. Foster's expression changed immediately, guarded, suspicious. "That name hasn't been spoken in 40 years. Who are you?" Ryan closed the door and pulled out the journal. "I just came back from Kagara Prime. She left this for whoever came next, someone who passed the real test." He handed over the journal. Foster's hands trembled as he opened it. His eyes scanned the pages, years of questions answered in moments. "She's alive," Foster whispered. "I always hoped. Everyone said she died. I never believed them." He looked at Ryan with new intensity. "You passed the test. The predators protected you. You found the ruins. You saw the device." Ryan nodded. "And I left it there. Humanity isn't ready." Foster laughed, a sound of relief and joy. "Smart boy, Cross chose well. The Guardians chose well." He closed the journal carefully. "The Academy is planning to weaponize Kagara Prime." "Aren't they? Of course they are. They see everything as a potential weapon." "Can you stop them?" Ryan asked. "Can you protect the planet?" Foster thought for a moment. "Not alone, but I know people, other xenobiologists who have suspected the truth, scientists who believe some places should remain untouched. Give me the journal, let me make copies, send them to the right people, create pressure. Public opinion can be a powerful weapon when properly aimed." Ryan hesitated. The journal was his only proof, his only connection to Dr. Cross and the truth, but Foster was right. Alone, he could do nothing. Together, they might have a chance. He handed over the journal. "Don't let them destroy it. That place is special. Those creatures are more than animals." "I know," Foster said. "I've known for years. Cross and I theorized about guardian species, engineered ecosystems designed to test newcomers. We published papers before she left. The Academy buried them, called them fantasy. Now we have proof." He looked at Ryan seriously. "This will make you enemies. Powerful people don't like being told they can't have something. Are you prepared for that?" Ryan thought about the Razorback, about the spine cats and the shadow drake, about the ancient ruins and the choice he made. "They protected me when they could have killed me. They taught me that wisdom matters more than strength. I owe them. I owe Dr. Cross. Whatever it takes, I'll protect Kagara Prime." Foster smiled. "Good, because it's going to take a lot. Go back to your life. Graduate, build your career. I'll work behind the scenes, gather allies. When the time comes, I'll call you. We'll make our stand together." Ryan left the institute feeling both better and worse. Better because he had an ally, worse because he realized this fight would take years, maybe decades, but some things were worth fighting for. 6 months passed. Ryan took a job as a wilderness guide on a frontier colony. Quiet work, simple work, but he stayed connected. Foster sent encrypted messages, progress reports, names of scientists joining their cause, evidence of the Academy's plans. They were moving slowly, building a coalition, waiting for the right moment. Then the message came. "They're sending the first team to Kagara Prime next month. Military unit, 20 soldiers, orders to hunt and capture predators. We're out of time. I'm publishing everything. Cross's journal, your testimony. Our research, it will cause chaos, career destruction for both of us. But it's the only way. Are you ready?" Ryan stared at the message. This was it, the moment that would define everything. He could back out, keep his job, his reputation, let someone else fight the fight, or he could stand up, risk everything. Do what was right even if it cost him everything. He thought about the Razorback one more time, about trust, about courage, about doing the hard thing because it was necessary. He typed his response. "Publish it, I'll back you up. Whatever happens, we protect them." He hit send and waited. 3 days later, the academic journals exploded. Foster's article appeared simultaneously in 5 major publications. Dr. Cross's journal, Ryan's first-hand account. Undeniable evidence that Kagara Prime was not what the Academy claimed, that the predators were intelligent, that an ancient test was ongoing, that humanity was being evaluated. The backlash was immediate. The Academy denied everything, called it fabrication, demanded retractions, but other scientists stepped forward. More evidence, more testimony. The story was too big to suppress. Public opinion shifted. Environmental groups rallied. Xenobiologists demanded protection for Kagara Prime. Politicians got involved. The military team was delayed, then canceled. Then the planet was declared a protected research zone. No military operations, no hunting. Limited scientific access only. Ryan lost his job. The colony terminated his contract. Too controversial, too political, but he didn't care. He had won. Kagara Prime was safe. The Guardians would continue their test. And somewhere on that planet, Dr. Sarah Cross was probably smiling. Her secret had been kept for 40 years. Ryan had kept it for 6 months. But together, they had protected something precious. something that would wait patiently for the day humanity finally grew wise enough to pass the real test. 5 years passed. Ryan worked odd jobs across the frontier, never staying long, always moving. The controversy had made him unemployable in any official capacity, but he didn't regret it. Kagara Prime remained protected. The Guardians were safe, that was what mattered. Dr. Foster kept in touch. The old man had become something of a celebrity in xenobiology circles. His theories about guardian species were now mainstream. Universities taught his work. Students wrote papers about engineered ecosystems. The academic world had embraced what it once rejected. Then the message came that changed everything. Ryan, you need to see this. Come to the Institute immediately. Something's happened on Kagara Prime. Ryan caught the first transport. When he arrived, Foster was waiting with a woman he didn't recognize. She was young, maybe 30, with sun-weathered skin and eyes that held familiar intelligence. Foster made introductions. Ryan Webb, meet Dr. Sarah Cross. Ryan's mind went blank. But you've been on Kagara Prime for 40 years. You're supposed to be old. How are you? Cross smiled. The Guardians taught me many things, including how to use the precursor technology still active in the ruins. Time moves differently there when you know how to work with it. I age slowly now, very slowly. She gestured for them to sit. I came back because of what you did. You and Alan, you protected the planet when you could have exploited it. You chose wisdom over personal gain. The Guardians noticed. They always notice. She pulled out a device, the same crystalline and metallic object from the ruins. You left this behind correctly. Humanity wasn't ready 5 years ago, but things are changing. Foster leaned forward. Tell him what you told me. Cross activated the device. A hologram appeared, star maps, locations, dozens of them. Kagara Prime is not unique. There are 73 other Guardian worlds in known space, each one testing species that arrive, each one engineered by the precursor civilization. They're all connected through a network, and that network has been watching humanity. Watching us do what? Ryan asked. Everything, Cross replied. How we treat each other, how we treat other species, how we respond to challenges. Kagara Prime was just one test, but your actions triggered something. The network recognized that some humans possess the qualities they're looking for. Cooperation, wisdom, willingness to protect rather than exploit. The hologram changed, showed a structure in deep space. Massive, ancient, beautiful. This is the hub, the center of the precursor network. No species has been invited there in 10,000 years. The precursors left, but their system remained, testing, always testing, waiting for species worthy of their legacy. She looked at Ryan intensely. The network is inviting humanity, not all of humanity, not yet, but representatives, to learn, to prove we can handle what comes next. Ryan's heart was racing. Why me? I'm nobody. I just did what felt right. That's exactly why, Foster said. The network doesn't want politicians or soldiers. It wants people who demonstrated wisdom in crisis. You're not the only one being invited. There are others. 12 humans total from different worlds and situations. Each one passed a test. Each one showed the qualities the precursors valued. Cross handed Ryan the device. This is yours now. When you activate it, transport will come. You'll go to the hub, learn what the precursors wanted to teach, and then you'll decide. Do we share that knowledge with humanity? Do we activate the full network? Do we bring our species into something vast and ancient? The choice is yours, all 12 of you together. Ryan held the device. 5 years ago, he had left it behind, not ready, not willing to make that decision. Now it was back, heavier somehow, more real. What if we make the wrong choice? What if humanity isn't ready even now? Then you return home and we wait, Cross said simply. Another generation, another century, the network is patient. It's been patient for 10,000 years. It can wait longer. But personally, I think humanity is closer than we've ever been. You proved that. Alan proved it. Others are proving it every day. We're growing, slowly, but growing. Foster added, I'm too old to go. But Ryan, you're young. You can be humanity's voice in this. You've already shown you can be trusted with great responsibility. The Guardians of Kagara Prime confirmed that. Now the whole network is confirming it. Don't let fear stop you from possibility. Ryan thought about the Razorback, about trust, about choosing wisdom over fear. He activated the device. Light surrounded him, not painful, warm, welcoming. Cross and Foster faded from view. The Institute disappeared, and Ryan found himself somewhere else, somewhere impossible. The hub was beyond description, halls that seemed to stretch forever. Technology and nature merged into art, and waiting for him were 11 other humans, all young, all with stories similar to his. They had faced impossible situations, made hard choices, chosen cooperation over competition. They were teachers, medics, engineers, farmers, ordinary people who had done extraordinary things when tested. Over the following weeks they learned. The precursors had been a coalition of species, hundreds, of different beings working together. They had reached heights of achievement unimaginable. Then they had left the galaxy to explore beyond. But before leaving, they built the network, the guardian worlds, the tests, a filter to find species capable of joining their legacy. The 12 humans studied together, learned together, debated together. Some wanted to share everything immediately. Others urged caution. Ryan found himself in the middle, advocating for measured progress, sharing knowledge in stages, letting humanity grow into wisdom rather than forcing it. Finally, they had to vote, activate the full network now or wait. It had to be unanimous, all 12 agreeing. The debate lasted days, passionate arguments on both sides, but eventually they reached consensus. Not now, not yet, but soon. They would return home, share what they learned carefully, build support, prepare humanity. Then in 10 years, they would return and activate the network fully. Ryan returned to find only minutes had passed. Time worked differently in the hub. Cross and Foster were still sitting there waiting. "What did you decide?" Foster asked. Ryan smiled. "We decided to be patient, to be wise, to give humanity time to catch up to its best self, but we're going back, all 12 of us, in 10 years, and then we're bringing humanity into something wonderful." Cross hugged him, the first physical contact he had had with another person in years. "Good choice. The network approves. I can feel it. 10 years is nothing to them, but it's everything to us. Time to prepare, time to grow, time to become worthy." Ryan spent those years traveling, telling his story, the truth about Kagara Prime, about the Guardian Worlds, about the tests happening across the galaxy. Some people believed him, most didn't. But slowly attitudes shifted. More scientists studied the Guardian Worlds. More people questioned humanity's aggressive approach to expansion. More voices called for cooperation over exploitation. Other members of the 12 did similar work. They became advocates, teachers, bridge builders, changing human culture one conversation at a time. It was slow, frustrating, but necessary. The network had patience. They learned to have it too. 10 years passed faster than expected. The 12 returned to the hub. This time they activated the network fully. The Guardian Worlds responded. Across the galaxy, signals went out. Humanity was invited not to conquer, not to exploit, but to learn, to join, to become part of something ancient and wise. First contact happened simultaneously on dozens of worlds. Humans met other species who had passed their tests, some recently, some centuries ago, all of them learning together, sharing knowledge, building something new from precursor foundations. It wasn't perfect. There were conflicts, misunderstandings, growing pains, but it was happening. Humanity was becoming part of a larger community. Ryan returned to Kagara Prime one last time. He walked through the purple forest to the ruins. The Razorback was still there, older now, grayer, but its eyes still held that same intelligence. They sat together in the clearing, human and guardian, and Ryan told it everything that had happened. The creature listened. When Ryan finished, it made that grinding sound, approval, pride, mission accomplished. "Thank you," Ryan said, "for teaching me, for protecting me, for showing me that trust matters more than fear. Everything that came after started because you chose to help instead of hunt. You changed everything." The Razorback leaned against him, heavy, warm, alive. They stayed like that for hours. Two beings from different worlds, connected by something deeper than species, connected by wisdom, by choice, by the understanding that survival means cooperation. Eventually, Ryan stood, time to go. The Razorback walked him to the edge of the forest. One last goodbye, then it turned and disappeared into the purple trees. Ryan watched it go, smiled, and headed back to his ship, back to his life, back to the work of building bridges between species. Humanity had passed the test. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough. The Guardians had evaluated and found them worthy. Now came the hard part, living up to that worthiness. Proving every day that wisdom could overcome fear. That cooperation could defeat competition. That different didn't mean dangerous. Years later, Ryan stood in a council chamber with representatives from 50 different species. Humans among them, no longer alone, no longer isolated, part of something vast and ancient and still growing. He thought about that first night on Kagara Prime, terrified and alone, certain he would die. Then the Razorback appeared, and everything changed. One choice, one moment of trust, one decision to accept help from an impossible source, that's all it took. And from that small seed, humanity's entire future grew. The test was built to break humans, to prove they couldn't cooperate, couldn't trust, couldn't overcome their fears, but the predators had other plans. They saw potential. They offered protection. They taught wisdom. And humanity slowly, painfully learned. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers, but humanity faced it together now, not alone, never alone again. The Guardians had made sure of that, and somewhere on Kagara Prime in a forest of purple trees the tests continued, waiting for the next species, ready to teach the next lesson, patient as only the truly wise can be.